Welcome everybody to this evening. We are super excited to have you all on this evening because we are talking fat loss. It seems to be a topic that many people are interested in, because they might have some fat on their body somewhere that they would like to release, or B, they are interested in health and well-being and helping other people, or maybe both, so for those of us who might not have a lot of fat to release on our bodies, I'm sure we know lots of people we can help. So let me just do a little bit of a backstory just quickly before we introduce our guest this evening. So just a little bit over 2 weeks ago, a naturopath friend of mine, Robin, actually gave me a call and actually said, Lillian, I've got something exciting to share with you. It's a new something, to do with fat loss and health. And I'm like, no, my plate is full. I've got 3 businesses already. I'm busy enough. I don't need something else to look at. But when she mentioned fat loss, and it was somebody that I trusted and knew was very knowledgeable about this because she actually has her own fat loss clinic, I'm like, well, maybe I should have a listen. So I got on a call with only 2 other people, the very first call. And the gentleman who was sharing about this was saying some stuff that really made my ears, prick. And Nathan was actually in the room at the time. So he was actually busily researching in the background going, yeah, Mum, this actually looks really good. By the way, our guest this evening is my son, Naturopath Nathan. So Nathan is a naturopath, herbalist and nutritionist. And he has been practicing naturopathy for jeepers, is it about 15 or so years, Nathan? Maybe more?
16 this October, I think.
16. So a few years. And for those of you, put in the chat box who knows Nathan. If you know Nathan, he's a huge researcher. He researches the research and then he researches it again. So if it's anything health related particularly, he will not put his name to anything. He will not endorse anything that he has not researched and feels really, that it's a great product or a great thing. So I'm going to introduce Nathan and have him just share with us, like I know Nathan as a naturopath, herbalist and nutritionist, you have dealt with obviously a myriad of people, a myriad of health conditions that you've dealt with people. And when it comes to weight loss, but we're specifically talking about fat loss here, you've kind of steered away from it a little bit because I've heard you say, there is no quick fix or so forth for fat loss, that it's a very, in-depth thing to deal with. And so please, just share with us, what have you found has worked or not worked for fat loss? And then we would just love for you to just share some of the research that you've been finding and the things that are exciting you about what you're finding about the mature hops extract, which is in the fixed product. So I'm just going to hand over to you to just take it wherever you'd like to this evening.
Sure, thank you. So everyone who doesn't know me, a naturopath, herbalist, nutritionist. I practice at a holistic medical clinic with GPs, kinesiologists, other naturopaths, chiros, and I love everything health. And I unfortunately have one of those minds that has to know the ins and outs of everything because I want to be able to understand it to its full capacity. And which is great for patients because they come in and my brain is automatically like Sherlock Holmes trying to, piece all the things together, 10 things at the one time. And when, anytime anyone's brought up a fat loss product, unless you're doing diet, lifestyle, nutrition at the same time, very rarely do they work by themselves. Actually, I've never seen them work by themselves. That is both a retail and from a practitioner brand. And you'll find even with practitioner companies, they really don't have a fat loss product that sells well, that works well, that practitioners promote because they simply just don't work. So when I heard about this, I had the same opinion. I was like, just don't think that's going to work. I have my own supplement company, Recovered App, and I've not bothered to make a weight loss supplement again because I just can't find anything that is effective enough that if you take it in isolation and not do anything else, that it's going to make some massive difference. So, what's the point of taking a supplement if all the work comes from the diet and the lifestyle and exercise? You may as well just go and do those and not bother with the supplements. But this is completely different. I think this is going to really be a game changer. The mature hops bitter extract, I mean, hops as itself, for any other practitioners out there, we use this for menopause, we use this for anxiety, we use this for sleep. And when you take a herb and you process it and you extract it, depending on the process, you're going to pull different things from that plant and different alkaloids, saponins, bitter components, terpenes, nutrients, vitamins, minerals. And back about in 1953 or 54, they did clinical studies on hops just to see what else this plant could do. And it cost them an enormous amount of money, and I can't find the exact amount, so I'm not going to quote it, but they only got a small amount and they were able to study it, and it had very successful results to do with digestion, gastric emptying, and fat loss. But it was kind of shelved because it was just simply too expensive, that it was unfeasible to put it into a supplement where people could afford to pay for it. The research I found started off again in around 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and the last 3 years, because there's been more interest in what this extract can do. But again, just cost prohibitive to most people. Until a company has come along with a proprietary process where they've been able to extract, and I believe it is the iso-alpha acids, the bitter acids from the hops. And that's where all the magic comes from when it comes to the fat loss. And if you think about how things work when we're eating bitter foods, we have these enteroreceptors that lie in our gut. And when we're eating anything bitter, the bitter compounds bind onto these enteroreceptors, and our brain's like, hang on a second, we need to make sure this is not dangerous, because usually our brain says, hey, we don't like bitter foods because they're typically poisonous. And so it slows down digestion, and it gives the brain time to analyze, is this substance safe? And if it's not, we vomit it out, we sweat it out, we get rid of it quickly. And so that's usually how bitters work. Now, what they've found with bitter from the hops, it's completely different. It sort of like lights up a Christmas tree of all these different gut peptides and hormones. And I'm going to talk about some of them tonight as to what I found through the research as to what makes this so special. When I first heard about this product, they mainly focused on the brown adipose tissue and how it was stimulating our body to use our white fat to burn all of our visceral fat around our bum, tummy, and thighs, all this toxic fat. It basically uses the body's brown adipose tissue and starts burning our white fat, which is amazing. But what I find even more amazing is, how does that happen? And I have to know, but why and how? And so when I looked at it, what exactly is going on here? How is this brown adipose tissue being activated? So when we consume these bitter extract from this product, our vagus nerve is communicating between our brain and our gut. And these bitter receptors are sending signals to say, we need to release cholecystokinin, we need to release glucan-like 1 peptide, we need to release ghrelin, and we need to release peptide PYY, which is a pancreatic enzyme. And so when you look at what are all these peptides do, what are all these gut hormones doing? And cholecystokinin is like this magic hormone in our body that's related to digestion and appetite regulation. So there's been studies that they find people that are overweight and obese are typically deficient in this cholecystokinin. So if you are one of those people that are always struggling to lose weight, and no matter what you do, it doesn't seem to work, and your appetite's really slow, you just have to look at food and put on weight, putting aside other medical issues I won't discuss, there can be deficiencies in this cholecystokinin. And so when you eat something that stimulates this, all of a sudden, you've got a digestive aid. It is helping your gallbladder release bile salts. So now you're breaking down fat, and it's helping the pancreas release digestive enzymes that are breaking down more fat, protein, and the carbs that for most people converting straight into fat and being stored. And if they're not burning it off at the gym or they're not heavily active, that's going to be stored as fat. Plus, I don't know who here else eats carbs and just gets tired afterwards. That's a good sign that your pancreatic enzymes are probably low. So it again blows my mind that this one compound is able to do all these amazing things. So what else is happening? When the body says, okay, this thing is safe, we're going to allow it through, it starts to slow down gastric motility. So this is the food as it's going through the body, we're actually increasing absorption. So if you're taking this with other food and with other nutrients, your body's taking more time to process this. It's breaking the food down better and it's starting to absorb more of these nutrients. It's helping with peristalsis, moving the food and the waste through the body. I probably have so many conversations with patients about their bowel health and how often they're going to the toilet, and for most, it's just not often enough. And so whenever someone is trying to lose weight, I was like, if you're trying to lose weight and you're not going to the toilet 2 or 3 times a day, you're inflamed and you're toxic and your hormones are out of control, it's not going to happen. You need to fix those mechanisms. And I've just listened to a roundtable of other doctors talk about this compound that we're discussing right now and the amazing work that it's doing on all these different aspects of the body, which I'm going to share with you in a sec. And so now you've got all these different areas of the body working together. The pancreas, the gallbladders working together, the small intestines, and better absorption of nutrients. I was like, okay, so what else does cholecystokinin do? And that's where I figured out that it is releasing this through the vagal nerve. It's stimulating through the norepinephrine, one of our neurotransmitters, to help our brown adipose tissue speed up the burning of our white visceral fat to use as energy. So it's creating heat. So here's the cool concept. If this is the only thing you remember, taking this supplement is almost like having an ice bath without the cold shivering. Your body is burning as many calories, sat in an ice bath, burning fat to generate heat to keep warm. This is creating a non-shivering thermogenesis. It's like having an ice bath in a drink, whether that drink be water, coffee, juice, whatever you put it in. It's like your body's in ice bath mode, which I think is crazy that's possible. I've never been one that enjoys the cold, and if everyone else is like myself that rather not get an ice bath, then this is going to be a pretty cool alternative. So that's that activation of the brown adipose tissue. But because it's helping with neurotransmitters, there's been some studies to show cholecystokinin has a role in anxiety and panic disorders. Again, I'm not talking about the product here. I'm not making claims about the product. I'm talking about the research I've done on cholecystokinin and what that does in our body, especially if you can stimulate it. And so there are human studies and animal studies on this, and that's what gets me so excited, the health aspect of what hops, the potential of hops can do. Now, that's what I found from cholecystokinin. Now, there are some other amazing gut peptides, and one of them is glucon-like peptide. Now, many of you may have heard of Mounjaro or Ozempic, the diabetes medication that people inject themselves with to rapidly lose weight that has crazy amount of side effects. Nature's version of a glucon-like 1 peptide agonist, meaning something that stimulates it, is this bitter acid from hops. Now, you're not going to get this from going to the health food store or Amazon and buying a hops extract that's made for sleep, anxiety, and menopause. This comes from the bitter acids that most manufacturers, when they're getting a hops plant and extracting what they can from it, they just don't have the technology to pull the bitter acids from it at an economical rate. So when we can stimulate glucon-like 1 peptide, which enhances how our body is utilizing insulin and blood sugar regulation, now all of a sudden our brain's being told, hey, you're full, you don't need to eat. It's reducing our appetite because we're giving our body more time to realize the food that we're eating that we can take more from that. We don't have the high and lows of sugar crashes. Who here is like thinks that they're hungry all the time and they're eating and they just don't feel full? This can be usually a hydration issue, but from what I'm reading now, it's more like a glucose like 1 peptide deficiency where your insulin is just not able to do that conversion of getting that sugar into the cells. So again, having something just to like snap into a glass of water and drink and stimulate all these different things is amazing. This gut hormone also helps with that slowing down the gastric emptying. So it's slowing down how the food is going through the body to make us feel fuller. There are also some potential cardiovascular benefits. By the way, it's helping to break down fats, some of the cholesterol, for example. And the last thing I found when looking at what else is happening when people are consuming this hops extract is peptide YY, which is a pancreatic peptide. And so this is also produced in the small intestine, and it is to help fat and protein metabolism. So if you're able to break down more proteins, you're going to repair better. If you're able to break down more fats, you're going to lessen the storage of those fats, because our entire body, and think of this concept for a second, our entire body is made of fat. We have all these neurotransmitters, hormones, cells in the body that require fat and are largely made up of it. And so what happens when we have too much fat? It's that visceral fat, the padding in between our organs, and our body uses it. And this is what, many patients have this light bulb moment when I describe why they're not losing weight. If your body can't detoxify and get rid of toxins, guess where they go? In your adipose fat, this visceral fat. It's a storage mechanism. So all of this, fat you're carrying around you is quite toxic. And this is what makes it even more amazing to me. Putting aside the whole gut health and improving microbiome, that's the other thing peptide Y has been shown for, is from listening to these doctors talk about this extract, it's almost like a journey of repair of the body. And they say not everyone immediately starts to lose fat. Sometimes some of their patients on this extract have gained weight and they're like, what's going on here? And they realize that they are retaining more water. So if your body is really toxic and anyone's forced you to go to the gym and done some crazy weight loss diet, and you've got really sick from it and you've ended up putting on far more weight after you've done that, it's most likely because you were so toxic, you forced your body to lose its protection mechanism, this fat, and now all these toxins are being expelled, running around the body, and your liver is overwhelmed and can't process them. And the body just can't wait to get fat back to shove all these toxins back in there. So when you're stimulating all these gut peptides and hormones, the first thing the body's like, okay, I've got this extra energy that I didn't have before that I can now use for repair purposes. So if it says I'm really toxic, I need to deal with this first, it will start retaining more water to dilute the toxicity while it's improving digestion. And after I'm listening to the doctors talk about how inflammation's going down and all these amazing benefits, it just blew my mind that it went from being, hey, this is a really good fat burner, and people are losing weight even without doing any exercise, and they were still eating what they wanted. And they picked like a group of Americans who were like drinking alcohol, eating all these bad foods. They're only taking it 3 times a week, and over 12 weeks, they lost 2.5 pounds on average. You should be putting on weight doing that, let alone not putting on weight, which would be impressive enough, that losing weight while doing all that is just, I've never seen something like this before. But what's more impressive is that whole potential aspect of all of the repair mechanism of reorganizing everything in the body that had been disrupted and bringing everything back into homeostasis. So not that I need to lose weight, but that is why I'm going to try it, because I want to see what effect it has on someone that's healthy, what else I can get from this. And when I can combine that with really good quality water, because that's how we detoxify, we're literally taking down fat and peeing it out. and you need water as a medium to pull these toxins in to get it out of the body. I'm really excited, and I look forward to testing it out myself. So that was my probably 6-7 hour deep dive, finding all different studies that back up every little snippet of information I've just talked to you about and found. Anytime someone said something that it does, I was like, okay, I'm going to pop that in my little research notes. Now I've got to go find a study to back up if that's actually the case. And that's, what I do to understand things properly. So hopefully I've just saved you like 7 hours of time and got you more excited about what the potential of this product is.
Nathan, you blow my mind every time I hear you speak, because you have so much knowledge, and we really appreciate that. And quite transparently, some of that went over my head. So if you're a simple thinking person like me when it comes to science and stuff, what I'd love to hear you share, and there might be some others on the call as well that might like this, in layman's terms, in a few sentences or, a couple of, paragraphs, if somebody came and said, okay, potentially, because we can't make any claims, of course, how might this product benefit us health-wise, fat loss-wise? How would you phrase that in a not too scientific-y type way for those of us who just would like to explain it to a girlfriend or to a friend?
I would just go with the ice bath analogy. Imagine popping a one a day or twice a day if you've got like a lot more weight to lose. Tasteless, odorless substance, natural substance, no side effects, into a drink, and have it switch your brown fat to burn more of your white fat, or even just say to start burning that white visceral fat that's around your bum, tummy, and thighs. It's like having an ice bath in a glass of water.
And is that why people are
without
having ice
shivering.
baths? And that's why people have ice baths? Is that the whole trend of the ice bath?
Yeah, it just switches on a whole bunch of different genes, and it is inducing thermogenesis and releasing. That's why that you also do saunas, like all heat shock proteins. So there's all health benefits. People don't do it just for fat burning and weight loss, because you see athletes get in a bath, and you're just like, well, they've got no fat to lose. But that's one of the benefits. It's for recovery. It's triggering different responses in the body. So even if, like, what this substance does is nothing the body isn't already doing. But as we get older, our mechanisms start to slow down, fail, or we're deficient in some of these things. Like even if you don't have a gallbladder, or you've got, insulin issues with diabetes, for example, we are using the vagus nerve to communicate between the brain and these gut peptides to support and enhance what's already happening in your body and bring it back into a homeostatic realm that you've just been out of balance for so long. So the body will do something different for each person that takes this supplement, because each person is different. They've got, think about little different problems and fires that needs to be put out in different orders. So the body knows best. We have this innate intelligence. We're just giving it a substance that's helping to release some of these peptides and hormones that have been switched off for quite some time, and we're able to benefit from what the body should have been doing by itself. We're just giving it a hand.
Oh, I can see why there's so much excitement. Like, I didn't understand the science. I just heard fat loss, natural, and something that seems to be working, on other people overseas in the States. And when I've listened to some of those testimonials, like, I'm quite blown away, and I'm like, surely not that many people could tell porky pies. Like, there must be something in this. And the sort of ancillary side effect benefits that people are getting are also quite amazing. So it's way beyond just fat loss. So, I can see why we have, 75 people on this evening, interested in this, because it is a topic that probably for 9 out of 10, Australians at least, we could benefit from. And it's interesting because I heard in one of the testimonial videos a personal trainer who looked very, very finely built. He said he didn't think he had any fat that he needed to lose, but he used the product and still went down a pant size. So it's quite interesting, isn't it? So it's not really just for heavily overweight people. For those of us who would like to just release, a few handfuls of fat, or or off the scales, or for people who have a lot to release. So Nathan, for somebody who had a lot to release, like compared to any other form of fat loss, like how might this journey look for somebody like that? Like, say somebody who's got 10 kilos or more to release.
Again, I need to be testing this myself so I can give personal,
Yeah.
what's the word? A testimonial. But I'll have to put together a document with all the different studies I was reading. I'll just quickly go over. So 2015, they were looking at when you're using this hops extract, even with beverages, that people were still losing weight, that it helped with that brown adipose tissue. And then 2016, in someone that was overweight but healthy, a double-blind placebo-controlled group study, that it suggested that continual ingestion safely reduces body fat, particularly abdominal visceral fat. So some of the key words that I read in the summaries, and as I'm reading through how they've structured the study, it's safe continuously. There's no tolerance build up. It doesn't work for like 1 week and then it doesn't work anymore. That these people are able to take it continually, and even over 12, 16 weeks, they're not noticing, any side effects. They didn't mention any contraindications with medications. They were probably excluding some people from studies because they didn't know how it would affect them, or they didn't want the variable in such a small population group study. I think there's a question there, why did they exclude certain people? Usually because they don't know how it will affect them. So they want to just focus on having as little variables as possible, so they can keep track of what actually is going on with whatever they're studying. So for someone who has to lose 10 kilos, if that person, has done a detox, they're not really inflamed, they're just overeating and they're not very active, that's sort of why they've put the weight on. They're probably going to lose the weight more quickly, the fat more quickly, because there's no fires to put out, there's no immediate concerns, no problems that need to be corrected. Whereas someone else who's like really inflamed, they've got, hormonal issues and kidney dysfunction, they don't have a gallbladder, they're probably going to have a much different journey, more restorative journey where, once all those gut peptides and the vagus nerve is being stimulated and the brain's releasing more epinephrine and dopamine, that the body might take some time to get back into homeostatic point where it's safe to lose the fat.
Yeah.
But that's why when I was listening to these doctors talk about what they're noticing, they're measuring all over the body. So they're not just looking at one scale that's like, okay, how many grams have you lost? How many kilos have you lost? They're looking at, where is the weight coming off? Is it the fat coming off the abdomen, above the breast, below the breast, on the arms, above the knee, below the belly button? Because each area of fat can correspond with a different problem and different hormone dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was talking about pinpointing when they're seeing the inches drop away, that's even pointing them towards what the potential issue is, and tracking all the different symptoms. Again, this is not making claims, not even talking about the product. We're just talking about the research and how to go about tracking someone's health. That's what he was referring to. And so the journey, I think, it's far more exciting than having a fat burner that all it does is just burns fat. Like, some of these other supplements that I've seen, cayenne pepper and raspberry ketones, conjugated CLA, for those that know. and they all have other health benefits, but to try and force the body just to rapidly lose weight is a really unhealthy way to do it. I really like the way that, from what I'm reading in the research, the mechanism of what this extract is doing. So I do need to try it myself. But if you do go up and look and read everything that I've read, you'll be probably as excited as I will.
Wow, amazing, Nathan. I'm going to just finish off this recording. If you would like to start perusing the questions and picking some of the questions, you may not be able to answer all of them, but pick out some of the key questions you'd like to answer. But I am more excited now. I haven't heard all of this research that Nathan's done to this degree that we've heard this evening. So thank you, Nathan, for taking the time to do that research, and not just to do the research, but to understand the research. I mean, that really takes, you know, somebody who really is, first of all, very knowledgeable, but secondly, you know, can take some research and understand exactly what that means for the body. I, for one, am very excited about all Australians and our health and well-being with this product. I feel like pretty much every human, you know, every person could benefit from this, whether we have fat loss or not. It sounds like something that's going to be very beneficial. But if we all think now of our circle of influence, our family, our friends, our work colleagues, I mean, just picture, you know, 10 people that you see often. How many of those people do you feel can benefit from this? So if you're listening to this for the first time this evening and you are feeling a bit excited like I am, you might be inclined to want to share this with others. So getting involved with this company and with this product, there are a couple of options. You can just say, okay, I'm really just interested in my own health journey, releasing fat for myself, and that's it. And I'm really interested in getting the product and trying the product and seeing how it benefits my health. If you are the type of person who likes to help others, you know, girlfriends, mums, you know, aunties, work colleagues, you can think of people you could help, then there can be an opportunity for you to not only help those people, but to also have a bit of a side hustle, I guess, you know, a business where you can actually help people at the same time as helping yourself. So the win-win aspect of this is very, very exciting. So what I encourage you to do this evening is, like, we have 75 people on the call. We had 77 a moment ago, 75 people on the call. So please get back to whomever invited you this evening and let them know, hey, I'd like to access this product when it's launched, and we're expecting that to be in the next couple of weeks. Or you might get back and say, hey, I'm really interested in sharing this with people I know. I want to help people with this. I can really see this as something that's going to make a difference for people. If you've got questions, once again, get back to the person who shared this with you. So I'm going to close off for this evening. Thank you once again, Nathan, for your amazing information. And we will answer some of those questions in just a moment. So thanks again, Nathan. And thank you to all of the people who took the time out this evening to listen. I hope you've got some value, and I hope you've learned something new. I certainly have. So once again, thanks, Nathan.